The secret lives of funeral home owners. Behind the scenes of a very unconventional business. Secret? Yeah, it's secret because we don't necessarily talk about what we do. But before we dive in, be sure to follow, be sure to subscribe right here and click the bell to be notified when I release exclusive content right here on YouTube. I spent 13 years in the funeral profession. My songs that are streaming all the streaming platforms, DSPs, that's digital service platform, they're inspired by my works. I've worked along some of the most incredible of people. Funeral professionals are some of the most compassionate individuals. For the longest time, we've not pulled back the veil, the curtain, I say. And now, that's why I give these videos to you, because the incredible hearts of those who are caring for those are huge. The profession is shrouded in mystique. It has this unspoken level of care. It's that of someone who goes to the doctor. You don't want the doctor to talk about, your reoccurring issue. The funeral profession is similar. If someone dies under tragic circumstances, disease, something unique surrounding, you don't talk about it. You just don't. Funeral professionals are made aware of certain situations. A lot of times not, but there are times that they are. So there's this level of integrity that one must maintain, and the heaviness that follows with the profession is oftentimes overwhelming and overbearing. I'll backtrack. It has been the longest time the old boys club. It's this gentleman's group for forever, for nearly 200 years. When you think funeral professional, you think of an old man in an oversized suit, oftentimes possibly sweating. And up until the last decade specifically, it's been that. But now you see a lot more females coming out of the profession because empathetic naturally, very artistic, very sensitive, and able to relate and non-threatening. Now, there are men that are non-threatening and whatever. My point being that women are now the future of the profession. But because of all of the history of, it's a hush-hush as far as the grief that a funeral professional experiences personally. You can't sit in the back corner of a service and sit and boo-hoo because the family called you to be a leader and to be able to make decisions and to guide and support this family who is going to be boo-hooing because they just lost someone that they love. So I call it the backpack. You just put your shit in the backpack, and then one day that thing it gets so big it's about to overflow and explode. The secret of a funeral professional is the weight that they carry is very private. And I had read where the suicide rate for a funeral professional is actually relatively high. And that's scary to think about. So expression or depression, that's a real thing. Therapy is a huge thing that I promote. And I hope that people, if you are in the profession, you fall on this video, you understand. But this video is for also just education for you who are interested because you have morbid curiosity. The thing that is so awesome is the secret of it's always the topic of conversation. You can't go to BW3s, you can't go to Beef O'Brady's, you can't go to any restaurant with a group of friends, well, if you even get to, because you're called out all the damn time. And there's like, what's the grossest thing you've ever heard? That's probably one of the top questions. Another thing is secrets of the funeral profession. They don't think you're funny when you come in and you say people are dying to get in here. They don't. They're never going to think it's funny. And every time that they laugh, they are laughing just to make you feel good. Or whenever you extend your hand to shake our hands, if you feel our wrist and say, oh, you still have a pulse. It's not funny. Funeral professionals aren't used to it. They don't get used to death. Now, they learn to navigate it. They learn to compartmentalize, possibly, if the right word is that, but they don't get used to it. They're not these stoic, non-feeling humans. They actually feel very much so. Actually, they have an insatiable need to be needed and wanted and liked, so that is a feeling in and of itself. Funeral professionals are privately quiet, generally speaking. They are more likely to internalize their personal feelings and are going to go out of their way to make sure that you feel good in your personal friendship. Funeral professionals in the secret of at their house, like after a long day, they don't want to talk to anybody. There is actually stories where they recluse themselves on their nights off or their weekends off. They won't answer their phone. They won't answer the door. They won't answer anything. They don't want to talk to anybody because that's all they do all day and night. It's compassion fatigue. That's a thing that people in the profession experience. They are so giving. And then they just... There are people that have not gone on a vacation in 20 plus years. It's overwhelming. And another secret of it's how can funeral home owners ask how to pay for services they're so fearful of. Funeral professionals are so scared of making someone upset. It is paralyzing to them. It's paralyzing to them. And this is more so for the owners. The owners have such a weight to carry, especially during COVID, whenever you have your CPA and people saying you need to lay people off, and you have 17 direct cremations in a row, so 17 times, simple math, 2,500, okay? Or one funeral for 10,000. So 17 times 10,000 would have been a lot better, right? You have payroll, and you have young people that are on payroll, and you are stressed, and you think about all of them. Every single one of them. Not just them, their other halves, or better halves, or families, or their children. They have bills to pay too. So do you make decisions for yourself as the owner, or do you have the others in mind? They will do things, funeral home owners genuinely care for their staff overall, and they will do things that people will never know. And heavy is the head that wears the crown. And they're the individual that has to make very quick decisions, lead individuals, get buy-in. I mean, it's one of the only professions where you don't have to be a good business person to run a successful business because people will die. Yeah, and getting people on board and having senior staff listen to a younger owner is tough. It's a very competitive profession, which is unique to me because you wouldn't think it would be. You would think that everyone would help each other. I don't understand where that happened. Well, whenever you have people listening to the scanner and rushing to the scene of a vehicle fatality with their ambulance hearse so that they can get the loved one's body first, that's the loved one's body getting it first means you get the call, you get the funeral, you get paid. So the other calls, the other funeral homes would pull up to the back of the vehicle so they couldn't open the door. That's a real thing. Funeral home owners live, breathe, and die the profession. You don't retire from this profession, you die. You do, because it is everything you've ever known. You have dreams of the phone ringing. You have dreams where you get death calls throughout the night and you had gotten them. You get so dialed in to the profession, to death, that you can almost call it. Oh, I'm not going to get a call tonight, or I'm going to get a call tonight. Funeral home owners have a lot of suits, and you ruin a lot of suits. You ruin a lot of ties, brand new ties. Absolutely. Funeral home owners, they carry a huge weight. A huge weight. Always on, always available, never not on call. Because, sure, they may not be receiving loved ones or transferring the deceased, but they're getting phone calls because they're worried about their staff member who hasn't been heard from for a few days. Or they get phone calls because funeral home is leaking, someone ran into the building, someone did this or that, or it's overwhelming, but they keep showing up. If you don't retire from this profession, you die. If you know a funeral home owner, go pat them on the back and say thanks, because behind that bigger, larger than life facade or wit or ability to just chew the fat with anybody, they could use a genuine, I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments below if you know a funeral home owner or if you know a funeral director. Be sure to follow and be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when I release new content. It's exclusive to YouTube only. I say that so fast. I'm learning it so fast. I'm dreaming about it. The phone rang. Death call.